Hello and welcome to AnoAni. We still don't know the name of the anime we saw on that day. The anime discussion podcast here on the mighty Loading Ready Run Video Entertainment Network. My name's Ian Horner. Let's go around the horn and introduce ourselves and our, well, we were the weeaboos here. The Weeb squad is reconvened.
It's not all of us, but it is most of us.
Yeah.
Several of us. I'm Corey Andrew Dickinson.
I'm Heather Deary.
I'm Brendan Beej, dearie.
And we are going to do a number of things here today. We're going to, first of all, go over what we watched in the 2016 fall season. And we have a quick discussion about that. Then we're going to get into our picks for 2017 winter. And finally, we'll leave you with our anime of the year for 2016. So, Beej, why don't you start us off with
what I was going to talk about.
But before we do that, I'd like to thank all of you out there for supporting us on patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. What you do with the Patreon is what helps keep the lights on and the TVs powered up so that we can watch the anime and tell you what we like about it.
So, I know I had said out loud I was going to have Paul call up X thing, but I don't know if he has that ready. If he did, then it doesn't matter because I'm changing that.
Wow.
Very hard.
Wow, changing your mind this late in the game.
I might as well just start with www.working.
Okay.
Exclamation point, exclamation point.
The exclamation points were very important this season.
Yeah, well, it's like anything else. It's like punctuation is vitally important to the name of an anime at this point. Christ. It's so, well, I mean, we're going to talk about that, obviously.
It makes regex extremely difficult.
Yeah. So www.working, those people who are watching, who have only ever seen it published, who have ever seen Working published in North America will just know it as Wagneria.
Really?
Yeah, that's the name for Working.
It's the name of the restaurant.
Because it's too hard to search in English to search for the show Working.
Okay.
Right? So this becomes important. So they changed it to Wagneria, which I thought was stupid, but that's what they did.
I think they're calling it www.wagneria for this one.
Makes very little sense, but whatever.
It's not a TLD.
It's just an understanding, I think, that they know that it's like, this is going to be rough, so we're just going to make this change. So www.working is different from Working if you were watching Working, because this is a web published web published different store setting thing that the author had did. It was like basically they did Working as their normal Yonkoma thing, and then they published a manga that was based completely different people on the web only.
For is spin-off.
It's a spin-off. It's not an alternate. I keep wanting to say alternate universe, and it's not an alternate universe.
No, it's
it takes place in the
universe.
same universe, but it is a spin-off. Except the weird thing is, this came first.
So we have a word for that too. It's a prequel.
Yeah, but it's not a prequel because it takes place in a completely different show at the same time.
Did you like it?
It was good, but it wasn't great.
What did you like about it? What problems did you have with it?
The problem I had with it is that after 3 seasons of watching Working, which was very good, and you could tell why Working was the thing that was actually published as a manga. Watching this, it's like, oh, I get it. All of these characters you came up with beforehand, you were working on doing that, and then your editor probably got involved and said, no, we need more like definitive character types. So
this was kind of a case of the studio coming to him and saying, we need another season because we want to make more money. And he's like, I am out of idea. Here's a half-baked thing.
I think it's more like I have this already that I'm doing as a project on the web, like as a web-only thing. If you want to make it into an anime, I like money. And, I mean, who doesn't like money? Mm-hmm. So this is... I think it's fun to watch it because you can see... It's kind of like watching the prototype of the original manga and thus the original show. And I think the Working show, the first one itself, is very, very good. I think it's very funny because I like these kind of shows. I think this one... takes longer to get into because you're watching the same. It's a Wagneria that exists in Hokkaido, so they have 4 seasons, which is very interesting. But it's just
that's very interesting.
It is. It's interesting to see that it's like, wow, they actually have like snow on the ground for like half the show.
Okay, that's the
I do want a bit of
explanation.
Japanese cultural education here. The Japanese are very proud of the fact that they have Japan is one of the places in the year where you have 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You have a distinct autumn, which is distinct from summer, and it's distinct from winter,
well,
it's distinct from spring, and they're very different.
And in fact, that like back in the I think in the Heian period, maybe even going back further, they had 72 micro seasons. And
Yes.
you can look this up. There's
No.
there's blocks of 5 days in which they have like the boar returning to his cave or something is like the name of the season, a 5-day season.
We cannot do anime in that kind of a season.
Anyway, this is good. It isn't great, but if you like the original working, I think it's fun to watch because you get to see the prototype of it, like I said, and you'll also be like, well, this isn't really as. At least the story takes place in like from beginning to end within 12 episodes, and it's like you feel like you're watching something that's a little bit extra. Did it work as a TV season? I don't know. I hope it made a hell of a lot of money.
You watched it?
I watched it. I just would it have been better as a series of OVAs? Maybe.
Okay. Heather.
I want to bring up Gekko and Handsome.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I know Cori brought this up before, and I don't know. Did you finish?
No,
Okay. It's worth binging it because they're like 3-minute episodes.
Yeah.
It's episode 11 is probably my favorite because the art styles consistently change in that one.
Twitter buzz on this just made me. I have to finish watching this.
You do. So I had to look up some information because like by episode 6, I'm like, I have to look up information on this series and why
does
this exists. It's based on a dating sim game.
Ah, okay.
That is purposely done in this style to make fun of the boys' love genre. It's, according to an article I read, they made an OVA to satiate their fans, and then this anime was crowdfunded. This anime exists because of a fandom, Ian.
You didn't satiate the fans. You spurred them.
They wanted the show, and
So it's like
it's so good.
it's like Little Witch Academia, but it looks like this.
Well, I mean, this is what happens when you.
if you watch it, if you've seen a lot of boys love and like dating anime and harem anime, you can see the tropes.
Yeah, I
like they're
definitely
still
saw that.
definitely strong in there.
And if you've taught a lot of like middle school children, you can definitely tell the art style.
Yeah, and it's just like I feel like once you hit episode 6 is where it really starts going. Like it's already
Again,
going in
minutes
episode
long.
1.
It's 3 minutes long. So episode 6
Once
is
you hit
not-
minute 18, it's full speed ahead.
Well, they do a thing about like the green-haired one is rich and he's sitting at his mansion and a flyer drops by. It's poorly drawn with a loaf of bread on
Everything
it,
is.
and it's just like hiring timers for one day. And he's just like, yes, I will go and obtain a job so that people will understand me on the student council. and it's just really, really awful, but it's really funny.
It looked like a hell of a lot of fun.
And it's like there's 3 minutes, so it's going to take you, what, like half an hour
yeah.
to binge the whole thing.
It is
do it.
less work than Inferno Cop.
For what it sounds like, similar reward. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll take that as my cue. I'm not going to slow roll this. I'm jumping right in to talk about Yuri on Ice, which is strangely not my pick for 2016. But I think this might be the most important anime of 2016. Yuri on Ice is an original property about a figure skater named Yuri who returns to his hometown a failure. And
After
then,
failing in the Olympics.
yeah, after
Or-
well,
Yeah, so like
after
real
not
failing.
placing the Olympics,
Yeah.
like, he made it there, and like, most people would consider getting to the Olympics to be a pretty high
It
achievement.
was the Olympics, not the Grand Prix final?
Pretty sure it was like the Olympics, wasn't it?
I can't
Like,
remember
he hadn't
now.
won a Grand Prix, but he still placed in the
Okay,
juniors for
okay.
the Olympics.
Yeah, but it's a fully original property. It's a self-contained story. It's an absolutely beautiful story. The animation is fantastic. The music is spectacular. The choreography is amazing. And did I mention the music? I'm going to
Yeah.
mention the music
The
again.
music's
'cause
great.
It's fantastic. One of my highlights of PAX of the Child's Play dinner this year is going to an after party and then playing the Yuri on Ice theme and the Yuri on Ice music from which he does his figure skating routine, and just closing out the night like that. But the show is really, really good. I don't know if it's great. I don't think we'll be talking about the characters and the story in 20 years' time. But I think we're definitely going to be talking about how many people it brought to anime in 20 years' time. Like, I know so many people who either fell off the anime bandwagon years ago or who've never even touched the stuff, who have started watching and binging and loving Yuri on Ice. this is the best example, in my opinion, of doing a show that you can't really do in live action in the same way. And it's like...
Yeah, you need to hire you need to hire actors who could actually skate.
Yeah, you need...
Well, the routines that they do in the show are currently impossible.
Yeah.
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 And but like the locations and the budget necessary to actually make a series like this would be nigh impossible, and yet it's mundane. Like, we're not looking at giant robots. We're not looking at fantastic cars or fantasy. This is just... This technically could be done.
Superhuman figure skater boys that are in love.
Yeah.
Have, like, it really threw me off watching the first couple episodes because when they figure skate, they look like real people and not how anime looks when anime
they do
people
action
move.
scenes.
And they're not all high schoolers, which is another thing. Like some
Yuri's
of them,
23.
Yeah, Yuri. Well, the titular Yuri is 23. At what he's saying is the end of his run as a figure skater. Yuri, the Russian Yuri,
Yurio.
is much younger.
15.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's
then there's a
15.
character that's like 28.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Victor
Chris.
is like 27.
Oh, and the Canadian
Oh,
with his
JJ.
JJ style.
Yeah.
So
Who
annoying.
just really seemed to me like they were like, we need to make a North American. We need to make
You
some.
need to make a Canadian
But they
and make them an asshole.
But
But then make him collapse under pressure.
It was just this. I felt like that was more of like, we need to make an American with an American flag, but we don't want to put an American in the show, so we'll make him Canadian.
But the Japanese impression of what the Canadian Tire logo looks like.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
There's these great little moments.
And his parents, like, he is definitely based on a Canadian figure skater of like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's the prodigy, but then here's his potato-shaped parents who are there with him the whole way.
And I mean, they make him Quebecois.
Yeah, it's...
I have
So that's so like maybe that's the impression of what they think Quebecois are like.
I have an Yuri on Ice adjacent question.
Okay.
Have you looked up the plot for the King of the Skater?
From which the song "Shall We Skate" Pichit's theme comes from. No, I have not, but I've heard about it.
I went
wanna
and
see
I looked
Petite
up.
on Ice.
I looked up the King of the Skater because I wanted to know if it was just clearly it's a reference to The King and I, but I wanted to know if maybe there was like a
real
skating
thing.
thing that maybe we just didn't know about, and there's not. But on Twitter, one of the people who worked on the show made a plot that involves a trading card game of magical powers and time travel.
And it's clearly a 4-hour movie because there's no way you could cram everything into like an hour and a half.
Well, because it would have to be a Thai movie.
yeah,
right?
it'd have to be like this long. Yes.
And it's actually quite amazing, the plot right up, because it's very
At
detailed.
least they acknowledge in the fake movie, that it's like, yes, this is clearly supposed to be a take on The King and I.
So big news with the Hallmark movie.
What?
Love on Ice. Yeah, the Hallmark movie.
And the fandom wiki article that I found that captured this also has fake trivia for that movie. My favorite being that the collectible card aspect of this movie didn't really take off and clashed with some people. They didn't really like it.
So the world building in this series is also fantastic.
People wanted to spend a lot of time.
It's very deep.
Yeah.
And this, like, we did a joke thing on one of the Loading Radio Lives. Can you show this anime to your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an anime you can show to your parents. This is an anime you probably should
If
show
your
to your
parents are okay with a bit of malnudity.
Yeah, they like butts.
If you're looking for for an anime to show to your friend who doesn't necessarily like anime, or they don't know if they like it or not, show this to them. This is an amazing gateway drug.
It's funny because everyone was watching it, and I'm like, I don't care about figure skating because I grew up watching figure skating with my parents, and I don't give a crap about figure skating. And I'm like, this is probably great, and everyone says it's fantastic and whatever, but I don't think I want to put any time into it. And then at some point somebody mentioned, well, there's this. I'm like, you know what? Okay, fine, I'll just watch it. And it charmed me within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's what got me, is I'm like, within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, this is a great opening theme. That does not bode well for the rest of the show because the opening theme's too good. All these other things about like watching what's going on, I'm like, I don't know. And then you start watching him skate, and then you start watching him skate Victor's routine at the beginning, and you realize it's like, oh, they had a hell of a budget and they were willing to spend it.
And
This is going to be good.
And what sold me, or what didn't sell me, the whole minute one sold me. What told me this was going to be good was when they set up the issue of, oh, you're too fat to go back into figure skating. I thought, okay, here we go. Now we're going to get here's the plot for...
The long-running Shonen sports
For the
thing.
first 13 episodes of the series is him getting back to being a competent figure skater. No. Done.
Right back.
Yeah.
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 The show is relentless in its forward momentum.
And it's very good at implementing an idea and then bringing it back up later in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they needed to bring it up earlier so that you understood that concept. Like by the end, when they didn't do a figure skating thing right before the subtitles were like, oh, that's clearly like not. I already knew.
Like quadruple toe loop. or
I
whatever.
already knew that they didn't do the thing properly.
Yeah.
And that this was bad and a dilemma.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can actually start to understand what figure skating is like.
So that's one of the shows I watched in 2016 and not my pick of the year.
Yeah.
Corey, what do you got for us?
I'm going to bite the bullet and bring up the most punctuation in the world.
Yay.
Keijo with 8 exclamation points. The thing that we didn't want to talk about last time.
And we all thought was a joke.
We all thought was a joke,
Yeah.
and it turns out it is.
Turns out the joke's funny, though. Turns out the joke's funny. It's really good.
So, like, I love this show. Do not watch it if
do not
like-
show this to your parents.
well, like, there's like non-consensual groping and like clothes flying off and weird crap, but
all the and but
And butts.
And
Butts.
lots of butts.
and boobs. And,
But nothing, there's not nudity.
yeah, not necessarily nudity, just very heavily implied nudity, and they're in very revealing costumes all the time.
Yes.
And sometimes they get costume changes that are worse.
I wanted to say that I wanted to say that there's no gratuitous. But it's weird to say that
No
because
gratuitous what?
Every-
There is a character whose entire character trait is that she can molest someone and they'll like it.
yes,
I could see why there would be a comfort level
Just oodles of
required
problems.
for
everything
the show.
everything is gratuitous, but it's all necessary for the bit to work.
There's, like, to describe this, there's this scene where they go to a training camp, and in order to learn how to power up the super move, the character has to pull up turnips with her butt. Because she keeps breaking the stalks on them. She can't get, like, the twist or the velocity right, and so she spends an entire day pulling turnips up with her butt.
So I feel like with this show, because I only really got the first episode done, and I do want to watch more of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reason we don't have an issue with this show is, say, maybe we would with another show that has like revealing clothing or
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't hit our comfort levels, is because you can tell the show knows.
Yep.
Well,
And
it's,
isn't
it's
trying
not
to-
trying to hide it.
No,
not-
it's trying to push it in your face.
Yeah,
very
like,
clearly.
it's not springing it on you. It's not like
rather-
I'm watching just a normal sports show and oh my gosh, a tit.
Yeah.
This is a show for fans of the medium.
Like a character in the show reveals her nipple so that she can grab someone's swimsuit and do a judo throw with her nipple.
Conversely, there's also a character
Wow.
in this show who is a direct reference to Gilgamesh from Fate Stay Night, who makes copies of other people's butts, and then they come out of her infinite butt repository.
Like, I know I slagged this a bit because I'm like, what a stupid premise and what a dumb.
No,
like,
no, it is real dumb.
Yeah,
bad.
but having like I watched the first episode as well because I'm like, this is not going to be good, and you guys
Oh,
you
man.
guys were like, this is actually entertaining, and I watched them like,
it's also, like,
oh, I
it's-
get the joke.
The style is of a boxing anime.
Yeah,
Like they have in-fighters and out-fighters and counter-fighters and stuff. So it's like if you like Ashita no Joe or Hajime no Ippo, this is that. But with butts.
Yeah.
This is gratuitous fan service in the same way that Star Wars: The Force Awakens is gratuitous fan service. It's laser targeted to you, the viewer, who knows what's going on with all these tropes.
yeah.
And then they put the budget and the quality behind it.
Is it self-aware enough that
Yes.
the girls that the girls themselves in the show are like, this is stupid, but we're making a lot of money.
No.
They are all in.
Yeah,
on
they're
this.
sold on the idea.
They take it very seriously. This
Okay.
is a sport.
Yeah.
This is a sport, and they are trying to become the best in the world.
And the entire world in the show takes it very seriously. That this is a
Well,
this is
not
a
really,
legitimate
because
sport.
there are outsiders that don't get the sport, but
I mean, every sport has those, though.
exactly. So it's treated as part of the world.
Yeah, but people
like
are
a legitimate part of the world.
Yeah. So that's Keijo.
So
It's probably worth watching a few episodes
really
of it.
fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if wow,
I can't be down on it. Like, I really can't.
That's what we're here for. Fun anime.
The whiplash of us coming around to Keijo was...
Oh, yeah. That was some cognitive dissonance.
It was...
Yeah, it was like 2 days after we recorded that. We were like, oh shit, this is real good.
I put it down to it's very much like my my introduction to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Mm-hmm. I sat down to hate watch episode 1 and just got hooked. Beej, do you have anything else from 2016 for us?
I do, actually. I have 2 more things, but I'm going to be quicker about these, I think. We're going to talk about Udon no Kuni no Kiniro Kemari, which is Poco's Udon World, is how they've been translated in English.
Udon.
It'll
Yes.
be Udon Kingdom.
Udon Kingdom. This is super friggin' cute. It just really is. Like,
How Sweetness and Lightning is it?
it's not.
It's not.
as
Okay.
Sweetness and Lightning. The thing I really like Sweetness and Lightning. This is not a cooking anime, which is a huge shame.
No,
in
it's
that
not.
it isn't. But on the plus side, what it is a single dad anime, and I really dig on those. A single parent anime, I really dig on those actually, because it's interesting to watch the kind of like, especially for somebody who's not a parent and they inherit a child, like they adopt a child. He just basically finds our main character finds Poco, who's the
Child.
the
Tanuki
child
child.
Tanuki, yes, the Tanuki that can shapeshift into a human, but has like shapeshifts into a child and acts like a 5-year-old child, and finds this boy and then is like, oh my god, it's a Tanuki, but I'm going to protect it. And there's a whole process of things that go on in the show. He was working, the main character, he's working in Tokyo. His parents pass away, so he moves back home to like a small town, whatever, where his dad ran an udon shop. His mom had already passed away a few years before. Like, the parents had passed away preternaturally early, and so now he's trying to pick up the pieces of his psyche in his life, and he's not really sure how he feels about working in Tokyo anymore, and he's not really sure about being away from his hometown. So now he's back, and and then Poco shows up and kind of reacquaints him with the feeling of being in this town. There is no romantic arc. There is no character growth for other characters. It is really just all about the main character trying to learn to reintegrate himself into his town. And it is a tourist show. It is, every preview at the very end is narrated by the vice governor of the prefecture.
And he tells you an interesting fact about the thing
And
that was in the episode.
It's a non-changing animated like portrait. He's holding a thing and only his mouth moves while he's talking about like, hey, you know, like,
this lighthouse.
This
or
really amazing lighthouse we
this
have is a thing of this and a
piece
thing
of
of whatever.
food.
Please watch the next episode of this. Or he's
Check
holding
out
a piece
my
of-
Haniwa.
It's really weird because it's like you watch the whole thing, you're like, okay, this is really interesting, and then you realize it's like, oh, this has been paid for by that region.
I actually just want to see a supercut of those ending bits then.
Yeah, it's
So-
and I think it's really cool. I think it's like a great little show. If you're into this kind of thing. I thought he was going to like learn how to make udon and stuff and kind of build up
Yeah.
whatever. That's not the point of the show.
That was the problem I had going in, was because the description made it sound like, oh, this guy from Tokyo is moving back and he's going to learn how to make udon, and that would be really neat. That would be a good show. I know it's a dad anime, but seriously, the show is not really so much about I have a child so much as I'm now learning the perspective of my dad.
Yeah.
And remembering things from when I was a kid, and Poco is a catalyst for that.
Yeah, and Poco's rough because it's like he can hide his ears in his tail, or but on occasion they'll pop back out, or he'll change back into a Tanuki, and it's really meant to be kind of a thing of like, hey, millennials, remember that small town you came from to come work in the city? Wasn't that small town actually really great now that you think about it? Maybe you should just move back home and be a part of that small town, please. Please do that. It was so wonderful here. Please bring and have lots of kids. We need you to have lots of kids. Hell, adopt an animal and turn it into a human if you need to. Just have more goddamn kids. I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
I think it was an enjoyable one as well, and I don't really gel with the kid anime, if that helps. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna choose Magic Kyon Renaissance,
Okay.
which is another show that was based off of a dating sim. It's okay. So it's the ending's very meh, but it's better than other dating sim shows I've seen.
Look at all these pretty boys.
They don't pick like.
Oh, they don't pick?
She doesn't pick, but they like very heavily are skewing towards one.
Okay.
So I give it a little bit more than the one where it's just like, clearly it could have been anyone, because that really annoys me. But what I like about this world is they go to a school for magical arts. As in, if I'm really skilled or really good at making a painting, lights happen, and everyone knows I'm really good at it because sparkly lights happen, and my lights are different shapes than other people's lights. And we go to this school to work on our magical arts, essentially so that we can be art performers, where when we perform art, people can see our lights go everywhere and how pretty they are.
So it's not that the magic makes you good at art, it's
No.
that you have to be good at art in order to show off your magic.
Well,
Yes.
that's ClassicaLoid.
Yeah.
And it's not even it's not even a thing of like you're making magic and the magic does a thing. It's just it looks very pretty and it's part of your art. And it's more I think what they're really trying to show by doing that is that this piece of artwork or this person working on this piece of artwork evokes feelings out of you and makes you really feel like something magical is happening. But magic is actually happening. It's a thing people can see. And I was skeptical that the show would be any good because when they show the girl walking around being part of this committee to make this thing happen in the preview, she's looking at all the guys doing all the different pieces of artwork and I'm like, why is she at the school? Does she not do anything? She does flower arrangements, which is really cool because everybody else does art and magic lights happen. Her lights don't happen until she puts the last thing in and she's like, it's done, and then it goes it's great.
I'm not surprised at your pick, Heather, given your excitement last season for another anime that we'll probably talk about and the magic that was supposed to happen in it.
I'm saving that for later.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all saving that for later.
Anything else to say about magical?
Magicune Renaissance?
I enjoyed it. The ending is meh, but I like the concept.
And it is pretty.
Good.
And there are boys.
Good
There are
stuff.
boys.
I will also do a very short discussion of my other show that I watched a bit of from last season, and that was Sangatsu no Lion. And
Is it written in the thing as 3 Gatsu no
it
Lion?
is,
It is.
yes.
Okay.
Not everyone understands the Japanese word for 3, but we'll get there.
Sorry, I just don't.
Someday.
I just wanted to be sure that we could pull the trailer
discover-
out.
Yeah.
I think in
we'll
English.
forge a path.
I think we're 4 episodes into this, and it's exactly what I wanted it to be. It's a story about an adult who reminds me a lot of one of our friends, and
I mean, he's 17. Like, he's a high school
But
student.
he's still a shogi prodigy living
Yeah.
his own,
Yeah.
making his own wage.
And this
Yeah.
one is continuing into this season
yes,
as well.
and they're doing he's doing adult things, having adult problems. Everyone's very sad, and I don't think we'll get to a point where everyone's happy, but we just might get to a point where everyone's okay.
I forgot you prefer watching things that are sad
Yep.
and having music that is happy.
I like-
I learned that last time.
I like
Not on
to
this show,
feel
but a different
things.
thing.
Yeah. So that's Sangatsu no Lion. Absolutely beautiful artwork, great music. Not that far into it, but I don't need to be because it's continuing.
Yeah, that is a show I want to watch. I just haven't had time yet.
Yeah. Cori, what did you watch in 2016 that wasn't Keijo, or rather in the fall?
Let's see. 2 shows that I dropped. I'm just going to mention them.
Ooh.
Cheating Craft and Drifters, because I mentioned them as shows that I was looking forward to. Cheating Craft turned out to, like, not go anywhere very quickly and not, like, as a starting show, it is definitely showing its lack of budget and experience. And then Drifters, which is basically, like, alternate universe time travel Hellsing, is awesome and cool, and I've only watched 3 episodes of it, but it's beautiful. It's got
I agree on
great style.
Drifters. I actually think Beej would really like Cheating
I
Craft.
think Beej would like to
Yeah.
Because I've watched all of it. They're 10-minute episodes. They're real
sounds
weird,
stupid.
but I think you would enjoy
It's
it.
stupid and over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like Gintama to me.
We haven't-
Also, there's a voice actor from Gintama in there.
Okay.
And we haven't dropped Cheating Craft so much as just we haven't got to
I
it.
dropped Cheating Craft. I haven't
Or, sorry,
dropped,
no,
I haven't dropped
yeah,
Drifters.
that's what I mean,
We
sorry.
just haven't gotten to
Yeah.
Drifters.
Cheating Craft is like on the floor and eating through it.
It
into
is.
the hole.
It is a 10-minute episode thing though. Like I binge watched that really quickly.
Drifters is the best of the 3 different Nobunagas that showed up in fall of 2016.
All right, there were a lot of Nobunaga's.
There were a lot.
There's a lot of Nobunagas.
Yeah.
I did like the Nobunaga of the Strippers.
Well, and if I can jump back here, if we're mentioning the series that they were continuing on, someone's going to ask Gundam Iron Blood Orphans. I am continuing to go through it. It's good. It's Iron Blood Orphans in the Gundam style. We don't need to talk much about it.
Right.
You had a third pick.
Flip Flappers.
Flip Flappers.
Flip Flappers.
Should watch Flip Flappers.
Based on okay, so let's start with a complaint about AniChart. And I love AniChart, but AniChart.net is where I go to find out what's happening in the next season. They have a beautiful interface compared to a lot of other websites. Their description of this show was basically everything that I hate about a show, which is if you see more than 3 terms in quotes, I won't watch it. Because I know that if I have to learn a new vocabulary in order to understand what the hell's going on in your show.
Made up words?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, these are the Peculiars, and they fight Angel, which is an evil organization that collects Peculia, like some sort of horseshit.
Those are not terms associated with the show. I will
No,
point
No.
it out now.
I know
He used-
pure illusion is.
Yes, and that's the thing. So I was
pure illusion.
I was reading the thing, and I'm like, oh, so these girls have to go to these girls who have weird names, Kokona and Papika, both are going to Pure Illusion to find shards of whatever. No.
Amorphous.
No. Well, the thing is in the description it was shards of something, and it was like. I was
Yes.
like, what? No. And Dr. Salt wants them to, and I'm like, huh? No. Doesn't matter.
I like the name Dr. Salt.
Millennium Envoys.
The show is about Kokona, who is just kind of drifting through her high school life in a very unusual. I love the setting because the setting feels pseudo European, but some Japan, but mostly European, and everything is very colorful. There's a lot the normal world is very colorful, and Kokona's drifting through her high school life, and then Papika shows up riding some sort of
Surfboard.
some sort of floating surfboard.
Can I
Which
just point this
doesn't
out?
exist in the world.
Can I just point this out? Kokono's grandmother is sitting on what looks like a wooden rocking chair, but it is a motorized scooter.
And it's like a future scooter. Like it's this future wheelchair thing that's...
But every time you see her, you only see the wood in the
But
background.
it has a wooden back to it. And I'm
Nice.
like, there's all these weird little moments in the show that are like... that they really felt like we're developing a look. You definitely have to give this 3 episodes. Within the first episode, I think
when they become magical girls.
Yeah, and
that's
in
when
the first episode, it's like you'll get a good feel for what's going on. But the idea is that Papika shows up and says, "Come on an adventure with me," and Kokona's like, "No," and is like, "Well, that's great because I'm taking you anyway." And then voop, they go through a pipe and they drop into whatever in this world full of snow, and then stuff happens, and it's just like. The world that they're in is pure illusion. Pure illusion can be anything, any kind of world. And I was like, okay, so
Yeah.
what's the catch? I was reading something awful for them, and people were like going on about Flip Flappers is actually really good, and which is what made me watch it in the first place. And when I got to about the second or third episode, I'm like, I get it. Like people are saying, oh, it's like they're telling a fairy tale, and I'm like, it's more like it's supposed to have a feel of a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to be a fairy tale. It's supposed to have kind of this feeling of there's stuff going on, you don't know what it is, and then by the middle of the season, I was starting to get uninterested because I felt like, oh, now we're getting into there's reasons for all of this, there's reasons why all this stuff's happening, and there's things that we have to do now, and now you've been recruited by this organization to go do this thing and acquire these things and do da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, ugh. This sucks. I just wanted these 2 girls to go on adventures in weird places. That's all I wanted. I wanted to find these little stones and be happy. And then it starts to pick up a little more, and you start to realize, oh, there's more at stake here. There actually is a story, and it is Kokona's story. And I thought, there's actually a lot more going on. This is not my pick for 2016. But this, and I wouldn't put this as my pick for 2016. I don't think it's as good as a lot of the stuff that I watched all year. But as a show that kind of is its own thing, you might have seen some of the tropes before, but I don't think you've seen a show like this. I don't think you've seen a story told quite the same way. And it's really, really pretty.
What are you waiting for? Sign up today. They're not a sponsor. Do not.
All right, I'm done.
Heather.
All right. This is my last pick for the fall season that we're going to talk about, which is Magical Girl Raising Project.
Raising, right? Not
Raising.
raisin.
Raising.
there's a
Where we
key at
try
the end
out
of the
magical girls
So-
until
No,
they're
that's accurate.
Grapevine.
I initially was not going to watch this show because I had heard it compared to Madoka.
Yeah.
And you can see
Madoka,
why.
And well, because
the
they just said
very
that
opening
they're-
scene
they're-
starts on a massacre.
yeah,
Like,
they're like, oh,
it's just like
well,
dead bodies and blood
dark.
everywhere.
We're doing a magical series,
Yeah.
and it is dark,
yeah.
and you'll like it because it's like that other series that was dark, right? And which is why I didn't want to watch it. But then I had a few people mention it, and Ben even said he was quite enjoying it, and I was like, oh, okay, I would like to watch more magical girl anime, and I wasn't aware Flip Floppers was actually a magical girl anime at the time, so I was like, I'll check this out. And as Cori says, it starts with a scene with a massacre, and then like cuts to the opening, and then we pretend that never happened, which
Yeah, for a while.
I
It's
do
like,
I do think really softens the reveal at the end of episode 2, but the core thing of we are using your cell phones to put out an app called Magical Girl Raising Project, where you make a little avatar, you fight little whatevers to find girls that we want to recruit as magical girls.
And make a contract with, not Madoka at all.
Well, the contract is different, and I'm not going to go into that for spoiler
That's fine.
reasons. But the by the end of the first episode, they're like, oh, by the way, we need to half how many. There's like 16 of you. We can't. That's too many. We should give it to 8. And everyone's like, what? And I expected the show to go tournament style because it's like, oh, there's 16 girls and now there needs to be 8 of them and things. It does not do that. It is more a show about here are 16 people. Here is a problem that is presented to them. How do they all deal? Because some of them are like, well, I'm going to send a complaint to the admin of this app because this is not fair and I should complain properly and we should do this. And another one's like, we should all group together and work this out together. And others are like, no, I'm just going to get more candy because there's a candy system. For all the good deeds you do, you get candy.
so maybe it's more like Bokurano than Madoka.
I haven't seen enough of Bokurano. But I do, it does like end up going further, and then of course there's a background plot that is the darker plot that they get into. But I really did like how it was more, we're going to solve this problem differently, and then how people start to react to it. I also really liked that all the magical girls were different. They start you off with some middle schoolers, but there are adults, there are younger children, and you never know who is who because they transform into what their avatar looks like.
Okay.
So one turns into a robot, so you can't tell. She could be any age.
Do people die?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
a lot of them.
Just want to put that out there.
It is, I believe it has an R rating. There is blood.
A lot.
There's not a lot, I wouldn't say there's a lot of gore.
No, it's just blood.
It's just mostly blood, but there is a lot of death. And I thought it ended pretty well. It also had a few twists for things where they gave you things that you would follow for certain expectations that you would normally see in other shows, and then changed them in ways that made sense, but were like, why? But didn't make you feel dumb for being, why would you think that? Which I liked.
Fascinating. Cori, do you have anything else from this season?
No.
Okay, well that is our review of 2016's fall season.
So now it's previews.
Let's have a look then at winter of 2017, and I'm just going to keep it going down the line here. Cori,
You.
You go first.
I guess I will go first.
You're after Heather.
yeah.
I'm not going to talk about that because that is my pick of the year, which leaves me with Lupin the Third,
Yay!
the blood spray of Ishikawa Goemon.
That sounds ominous.
It's a movie, right?
So it is a movie, and we're going to the preview section, so we've either seen very little of these series or just the previews, so we can't really say much about them.
Jesus.
But boy, oh boy, am I excited for a Goemon side story movie.
Yeah.
We've had, this continues the introduction of the woman they call Fujiko Mine, and then the
Grave of Jigen.
the grave of Jigen Daisuke.
Yeah.
And so this is your Goemon side story, and boy, oh boy, do I hope this means we get a mini-series or a movie about Zenigata next. But this looks like a real return to like Monkey Punch levels of intensity in Lupin. in that it's going to be very dark, it's going to be very gritty, but you can definitely see that already from the animation. But if there's one thing that the last season of Lupin III Part 4, or Blue Jacket Lupin, has told me, it's that we are in an era where we understand what Lupin is now. This is Lupin for the gritty aughts. Mm. Actually, we're way out of the aughts now.
Yeah,
we're into the gritty teens, but it does it in a way that is appropriate.
This is the angsty teens.
Yeah, it's not gritty for grittiness' sake. This is a very conscious style, and they go all in on that.
Like, Lupin doesn't stop being cool because he's in a difficult situation,
Mm-hmm.
but Lupin was never supposed to be like he's never supposed to be like a goofy character, a gag character. It's just supposed to be an aspect of his personality.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this is about Goemon, who's always just been like serious
Stoic.
and get things done.
And we've had aspects of Goemon's history revealed to us, but this just seems to be focused on him in a way we haven't had since the Fuma clan, or the Fuma conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
yeah, it's going to be exciting. Can't wait to hear the remix of the Lupin III theme. Cori.
Okay, my first pick for the year that looks interesting is Aka Jusanku Kansatsu-ka.
Yeah, I think this one looks good too.
So it's about a government with 13 districts.
Oh, yeah.
And it's this government worker guy. He's an inspector, and he goes to visit personnel in the various districts, and they all have like code names. So it looks a little Gestapo-y. It's Madhouse. Mm-hmm. I think the director worked on Space Dandy and such. Yeah, I think he was the primary director.
Yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the look of this one.
Yeah, and it's just but it looks like it's just this character going to different locations and visiting. So it'll be like personal and stuff about the different scenes that he's in. And
Is it political?
Probably.
Okay.
Because he's a government worker and he's inspecting.
It's funny how much like you can try to glean just from the choice of art style they decide to use. Like, we just watched the Lupin trailer, and it's like, well, this is going to be dark. This is going to be like a gritty take on whatever. This seems very bright for something that might end up being.
It's got like cool like Joker game jazz music.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think there'll be politics in this. I don't know if politics will necessarily be like the main focus of the theme or.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be like it's about the main character and the way he deals with the different people that he has to like go visit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What are you interested in?
Gintama.
You don't
Sorry, I'm
say.
supposed to pick
Surprise!
something.
Yeah,
surprise.
More Gintama.
There's more Gintama.
Between now and when the show becomes unprofitable.
We're on this will be the start of, I think, episode 371. So let's be fair. There's no way I thought I was ever going to end up watching a show that was going to go longer than 200 episodes. Like, the longest show I ever watched, and still haven't watched all of,
Legend of Galactic Heroes?
is Sailor Moon.
Oh.
Sailor Moon tops out
seen all of Sailor Moon?
No, tops out at 200 episodes.
I'm so sorry. I've been such a bad wife.
There's just lots of episodes
we will
that I end up
binge that
missing.
right now.
Oh, Christ.
Sorry, we're leaving the podcast to finish Sailor
Quitting
Moon.
my job for the next 6 months and watching nothing but Sailor Moon,
What?
apparently.
I watched all of Stars in an Evening.
This is more Gintama. If you watch Gintama, you know you want to watch this as well. They've stopped with the punctuation thing, I think. I'm not sure, because
This one
when
was
Heather
just
put
listed
it,
as Gintama 2017 as far as I could
Yeah,
tell.
they added
Yeah.
a number.
There was
Yeah.
a period, but I didn't know if that was part
part of
it
the name or not, and that's the problem, is that now I have no way of
If
knowing.
it follows with Apple, the next one will be the new Gintama.
It's just so weird, because it's like the Gintama was like Gintama, and it went for like the four different series they made, and was around like 200 odd episodes, and then it's like, okay, so now Gintama's taking a break and coming back as Gintama with an apostrophe, and then when that was over, it came back as Gintama with a degree sign.
Yeah, see, so I think
Because
the
I think
period
they were
is
just giving a
probably
big,
legit.
The pyramid's probably there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
giving a big middle finger to all this punctuation horse shit, and they're just picking stuff that's really hard to write. But the period, I think, is like, it felt like, I don't know if it's supposed to be there or not. It doesn't really matter, because it's just more Gintama.
Is this going to be a good place for people to get into Gintama?
No! Absolutely not! Don't
at the
start
beginning.
watching Gintama now! It would be like trying to watch One Piece now. I have a feeling it wouldn't make any sense.
I think Gintama is really not for an average viewer.
Oh, Christ, it
just
isn't,
because
no.
it references
Piece?
so heavily of so much anime and so much Japanese culture and
Yeah.
so much puns
The-
that it feels impenetrable.
This-
This feels more impenetrable than JoJo to me.
This anime would have the for advanced viewers only sticker
It
on it.
really should. Like, parental advisory, you need to have... If you... And the thing is, it's like, oh, look, there's new characters, because I know they're going to be new characters, because they're actually drawing them with more than, like, 3 frames of animation kind of deal. Sunrise puts a lot of money into this, and the staff, like, they like to have fun with slagging on Sunrise all the time, and yet Sunrise puts a lot of money into the show to make it look really good, and they know they're making money off of it. But I love it. Here's the point. The guy with the silver hair there, he used to be a really powerful samurai, but now he works in an odd job store, or rather he owns an odd job store, and he has like the girl in the China outfit and the boy with the glasses. The two of them help him out doing odd jobs around town, and it's a gag anime. And it has arcs, and sometimes the arcs are super serious, and sometimes the arcs are not.
Yeah.
But I would watch from the beginning, and especially if you like Japanese culture and Dragon Quest, because they reference that shit a lot.
Yeah,
A lot!
To be fair, I wouldn't say that you wouldn't enjoy this if you didn't understand those things, but there's clearly so many references to so many things
I
that...
found out the analog, finally.
Yes.
This is the Big Bang Theory of anime.
Oh,
No.
no, I wouldn't say that either.
Well, that's what Big Bang Theory fans would say.
No.
No.
No. All right, moving on. I'm going to pick the one that I'm most excited for next season. I think. I'm pretty sure this was the one I was most excited for next season. Little Witch Academia.
Yay.
It is finally getting its TV anime.
Finally.
It's a Trigger series. They've done 2 movies.
Yeah.
Now
This is one of the Trigger Prestige series rather than the
Yes.
Trigger Make Money series.
it's
Although this will
it's
also make a
got
ton of money.
all kinds of things that I really like, which is essentially magical girls, but like fun, good story.
Like
Like the animation I
feels
really love.
Classic.
Yeah.
It feels like an older style of animation, but like new.
Yeah.
the-
and just like
the world
the
building.
immaculate
Yeah, the
backgrounds
world and the whole
style.
thing with the main character of like decided to become a witch because I watched a witch over here do a parade, like a circus show, and I thought that was cool.
Now, we saw that story play out, obviously, in the first movie.
Yeah, I
And by-
don't know if that's actually going to be what they show here.
By movie, we have to also say that the movie was 5 minutes? It's a short.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, didn't they make like a longer
were-
version
They made
eventually?
It,
Yeah,
well,
they fleshed
it's
it out.
not the same story recycled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
Like
so I
the-
don't expect this to be the same story.
Okay.
Little Witch Academia and Little Witch, the whatever parade one.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not the same story. Some of the same stuff
They're
kind of
continuations.
happens with
Yeah.
the character development, but this is a continuation.
This looks like it's either going to happen alongside what happened in the first short, or is a retelling and then continuation.
I feel like they might go into some background info again.
Just to kind of set
Just
it up.
because
for
it
people
is
to
a
see.
They're gonna show what like the main characters
Yeah.
in, because she's still in the school with people, and Shiny
Yeah.
Chariot's still a big deal.
And I love the characters and just I don't know, the feel of it's just really great.
Like, it's happy and it's fun and it's kind of...
We know that Trigger's able to tell a good story, a coherent story. We know that they're really good with animation, and because they've done the shorts, we know these characters too.
Yeah.
So
Well, and we know that people want this, right? Because the first
yeah.
one was kickstarted.
Oh yeah. Well, the first one I believe was just a short that they put out, and then the Kickstarter happened from that.
Yeah, for the
second
second one, and then this one is just happening.
Yeah. Then they just realized we can just do this.
Yeah. So I really like that, the fact that it's like we know people want this. We've already proven that.
So this will be
and
something
that they
to watch.
ended Luluco with like the high five,
Yeah.
the passing the baton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everyone
that was
go-
good.
Spoilers.
It's very minor
It's not
spoiler.
part of the plot
No,
of
it isn't.
Luluco.
Yeah. All right, Ian, go ahead.
I'm done for my recommendations, except in the sense that it will bleed into my anime of the year.
Okay,
So,
cool. Corey,
Okay.
got
Onihei, which is about
Gesundheit.
an Edo period guy that decides to be a detective, I guess, and he's like solving robberies and arson. And as far as I can tell, this guy that works at Madhouse, he's like the main producer guy. He worked with, I guess, Tezuka like a long time ago, but he he made a production company to make this. Like, so the Studio M2 that's listed as the animation company typically on this isn't really a company that does animation. Like TMS, I think, did the animation for this, but I think this is a passion project for this guy that works at Madhouse.
TMS is generally the producers of the Lupin series, so we can garner a certain quality from this. This was on my possible list, but I wasn't willing to give it a recommendation until I saw an episode.
I couldn't find a PV of it.
Yeah, it's based on a novel.
I'm really glad to hear you're interested in it because this looks...
Yeah, that was the description I read too, based on a novel. I'm like, I don't have time to find out what that means.
Yeah, that's on the 9th, which is going to be a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beej, what you got?
Let's look it up because I just had in my brain. Oh yeah, Koro-sensei Q.
Quest.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're nicking it down to Q, but it's Koro-sensei Quest. If you watched Assassination Classroom, and you should have, this is a spin-off where instead of everybody being students who are trying to kill their teacher, this is about students who are trying to kill their teacher.
What?
I know, right?
Is the teacher Koro-sensei?
The teacher is Koro-sensei.
What?
And instead of them all being students in a normal school setting, they are all students as potential heroes in an RPG. And it follows. It's basically, it's a cast of 35 people, and it's a goofy series. It's a gag series. If you are already familiar with Assassination Classroom, this is to twig all that, because clearly after the ending of Assassination Classroom, you're going to be like, but I want to see more of Koro-sensei and everybody else. And he plays Mahou. He plays the big bad. They keep nicking it down to. It's really cool. I think it's fun, and if you're familiar...
Is it more time with Koro-sensei, or are the characters from the original
there's a couple
series
episodes. You've seen a couple.
But just in a different context?
Yeah, all the characters that... Like, the story is retold as if it was a medieval RPG.
Okay.
As a sword and sorcery RPG, essentially. And
So
more
no
of, I think...
guns.
No guns, as far as... Everybody has swords and stuff.
Yeah.
They're shorter episodes too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like 10 minutes long. And, obviously they give the main characters, like Nagisa and anybody else.
Well, I'm still here for you.
If you were in a class from distance 220, go because bad, clearly. But I want to see more of you, please. Mo plays that.
For those of you not watching the
amazing.
video, Beej managed to activate
Siri.
on Ian's
For a
phone.
paragraph
Yeah.
of text.
I really should have screen capped that. Beej, would you say that this is a good place to get into Assassination Classroom?
No, it isn't. You have to be completely familiar with the series. Or this one. You could watch half of the series and still come in and watch this, but you have to be a fan of the series to enjoy it.
Or read the manga.
Or read the
and
manga.
then come into
Actually,
this.
that's true too. You could read the entire manga and watch this.
Yeah, because it follows it pretty closely, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
and it basically it's all the cues from like they have to go get what the hell's his name again? The redhead one. He's gonna pop up on screen in a second. Is it
Archie.
no?
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Anyway,
Go on.
they have to go get him. Karma. They have to go get Karma, and Karma was like staying at home and not doing anything. But in this episode, in this series, Karma is living in a cave, and they have to go convince him to come be a part of their quest to kill Koro-sensei. And Koro-sensei is like, "Yes, let's go get him so he can be a part of this quest." And he basically does everything he does in the series. It's just that they're recontextualizing it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's making people money.
I disagree with the fact that you might enjoy this series if you're a fan of Assassination Classroom, but only because I enjoyed Assassination Classroom for different reasons, and this one went back to the reasons that you enjoy these types of anime, which is gag related, and because they're cutting them down to like 10-minute episodes, I feel like they're going to focus way more on the gag portions.
I like this because it's a bunch of jokes.
So
it's not the series. I like it because I'm familiar with the series.
I don't think I'm going to like that at all.
No.
I have two others. I'm gonna go through them briefly because they're shorter, and so Kuzu no Honkai is a romance show. I couldn't really find much about it.
I'm just gonna screen cap these.
The description said that there was a couple who are together. They seem like the perfect couple. They seem like they have a perfect relationship, but they have a secret they share. And I'm sure they'll reveal that in like the first episode. It's a romance. That's about all I know.
It looks pretty.
I want to watch it too.
Seiren is the other one, which is also a romance. It is an original though, and I liked the animation look of it. I really don't know what it's about. They're both, to me, like I wouldn't, if I had other picks for the upcoming series, I would not pick both of these to share because I just don't know enough about them, but they're both romances, and I'm like, I want a good romance, and I'm hoping one of these will be that for
Both
me.
look like they're really trying to bite on Makoto Shinkai's style after the success of Your Name this past year. Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping one of them will like hit the romance story that I want for this season.
We'll trip the romance flag.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
I got to go down the right character path.
Do we have any other?
I have Ryuno Haisha, the dragon dentist.
Oh,
Yes.
cool.
So
Okay.
this is 2 more episodes, it looks like, based on or following a short that was made for the Animation Expo, or the Animators Expo, right? And it's like such a bizarre short, the original one. Like a bunch of these trainees climb this dragon, and one of them falls into a tooth and into like the world inside the tooth, and it's like dark and gritty, and she has to like confront her fears, kind of thing. And it's very short.
Neat.
It's like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And this is like more continuation because she became a dragon dentist at the end of that and wouldn't reveal her name, but
Oh, maybe she'll spend the whole time not giving her name in this too.
yeah, that might be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like this world at war with a mix of like battleships and stuff, and the country's dragon needs a dentist to fight a bacterial infection.
Yeah, I only looked up this one because you told me to.
Yeah.
And when the trailer starts and it's like, a world of dragons and things are happening and there's some stuff and I can see some people with fangs and then
And
giant
then it ends
tinker
and
boots
it's called
and I'm like,
Dragon Dentist.
Yes.
And you're like,
yes.
oh.
Yeah, what the hell does that
Absolutely
mean?
want to watch that.
So yeah, it's going to be like this war is going on, and this girl is climbing around this dragon's mouth, fighting monsters, and going inside of the teeth.
It's not-
potentially like in the description, she finds a boy that has fallen out of the tooth. So like maybe the dragon's teeth generated a human being.
It's not the show I expected to get a continuation from the Animator Expo, but
And they've got the director from Fooly Cooly.
yeah.
Well, this all stands to reason.
Yeah.
Anything
Which
else?
I also learned that they're making a FLCL 2017.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
which
are.
is
That's
that's not-
continuation.
No, let's talk about it.
Anyways.
That's interesting.
I don't think that's coming out this season.
That's not this season.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
this
that's
year.
why we're
Yeah.
not
It's
talking
this
about that
season.
yet.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
There are other things that I'm watching this season as well, and it's all just continuations of stuff that I read in the manga, and I didn't put trailers in for any of it. But there was something else in here that I remembered. Oh yeah, there's something called One Room. We don't have a trailer for it, but that was another thing I might watch. It's a TV short, and it's about like
Oh yeah, no.
it takes place in like one room,
What?
and it's like these girls talking about their experiences
Yes,
or something.
You'll have
It's a short.
experiences in one room
And I
with
don't really
the
get-
girl.
I don't really get what it's about, but I'm like, that's kind of intriguing. I'm going to watch the first one
It
to see
sounds
what
a
it
little
is.
different.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And there's other things I'm going to watch, like Kobayashi-san's Maid Dragon, Gabriel Dropout, and Demi-chama Katare Tai, because they're things that are based on manga I'm reading, and we're not going to talk about any of those. But yeah,
So for
are any of us watching Handshakers?
I want to see what that is.
I'm not laughing at that because of the reason that like I was laughing at Keijo, but it's
I'm
like
not transforming
this
with you.
really serious.
That's what
trailer
handshaking is for.
about like this sci-fi magic battle
Yes.
thing. It's like and they're called handshakers. It's like
I kind of want to see the first episode of that.
it's
So
the bogus made up fantasy names.
for our 2016 picks of
Yeah.
the year,
Okay.
I just want to first point out that my criteria for that was the show that we enjoyed the most. I would like Ian and Beej to go first because I know Cori and I shared the same one.
Yes,
Okay,
we
that's
picked the
good.
same one.
Would you like to go first?
I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Actually.
Fight.
Let's get all the beach talk in one nice bolus.
It'd be.
Here it comes.
I'm sick. I'm very sorry. We don't have cough switches on any of these, but it's what
His
happens.
name is Paul.
No, this fellow's not a cop switch.
Let me
He's
see if
a
I can
human being.
see if I can remember the Japanese title from memory. Boku dake ga iru machi, or erased.
As you call it by its
Yeah,
its slave
name
name.
that everybody knows it by.
Yeah.
Erased. Or a town without me, a town I don't live in.
Oh wow,
That sounds so cool.
Doesn't it?
That's a
Yeah.
much better title.
Yeah, that's what it literally means. It's like, remember how he talks about it in the series?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that literally means the town without me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a way better.
That's so good.
Yeah,
so
they talk
good.
about it in the series, and it's like that's literally what the translation should be. They just called it erased, and I'm kind of like, it's kind of a whatever. This, the criteria for me picking erased, we already talked about erased a lot,
This
and
was
all
almost
of us
my-
loved it.
This was almost
Oh,
my pick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fought
It's on
for
the
top.
list.
My,
Yeah.
my criteria for picking this versus other things like, for example, Assassination Classroom, or for picking like other things like Mahou was good as well, The Hidden Village.
Oh, I forgot that was this year.
And there were other things that we went through. I forgot about Mayuga completely until I opened Mitomo and saw that I'd entered it as an answer for what am I really into right now.
Yeah.
But this was capital G good.
It was shocking. I'm trying to read the manga, and it's shocking to me how into this I was in that an episode would come out and everything stopped. It
Yeah.
was like, no, put it all down, we watch this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I need to know what's going on.
You have to know what's going to happen next because you have to know that everyone's going to be okay.
Yes.
Maybe, or that they're going to make it through
something's
this, and
gonna
that
happen.
something will change.
I'm going through Stranger Things right now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a similar feeling from that I got from this.
Right.
This was the Stranger Things of anime of 2016.
Yeah, if you need a reason to watch that, like, and contextualize it in terms of something that happened here. And I haven't seen Stranger Things, but I think that's probably a very
Yeah,
good
It's accurate.
way to describe it. It's just, it just felt so good. I didn't like the ending, but it was a good ending. And it's kind of like, if I didn't like the way that it ended and yet still felt really good about the show, there's something really good going on here with the show as far as I was concerned. You need to watch this. You need to find a way to watch it, and you need to watch it. And if you binge it, that's fine. Watching it one every week was a different way to do it.
I
But
think it's available for free on Crunchyroll at the moment.
yeah, you should get into this. This was
Like,
really good.
Part of me really doesn't like the idea of binging a show like this because I like having time in between episodes. But at
Yeah.
the same time, by the time you get to the end of the thing, if you know the next one is out, you're just
gonna
like,
watch it.
I need to
have
see what happens
go
next, yeah.
to the next one now because things have happened.
It's the kind of show that makes you talk about it with your friends to say, what do you think is happening next?
And you're not going to skip the ending theme because it's so good.
Yeah.
And you
Things in
can-
the opening change.
Yeah, you cannot skip the opening because it's one of those shows that does the wonderful thing where it changes the opening based on what's happening in the show.
Yeah. Also, it's Asian Kung Fu generation,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
you'll
Oh,
want
yeah,
to listen
and
to it
it's
anyway.
good.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's self-contained. It's
It's touching
a mature,
and human
a
and
mature story,
Yeah.
despite the fact that it's about kids in middle school.
Yeah,
It's-
and we're in
well,
elementary
it's,
school.
In elementary school.
Elementary school with a adult mindset.
And I'll let you know right now, for those who are worried, it's like, if you're worried about, like, here's a trigger warning, this has to do with child abuse. And it's really
That is
good.
true.
Yeah, it handles it.
And in reading the
amazingly.
manga, what I found too is that I got like I went through the entire first chapter, and the first chapter was about the first 10 minutes of the show, and I was like, oh, they took your pace and they sped it up, and I want to read the entire manga to get an overall sense of what went on. But I'm like, I feel like what they did is when they took the manga and made it into the show, they said, we're going to compress some things, but we're going to make the storytelling spark more.
Yeah.
And I really felt like that's what it's doing. So my pick.
Yeah. Do you want to?
No,
yeah.
we share and we're going last.
So I'm glad you picked that, Beej, because that was going to be my pick, and it happened. It's interesting that you mentioned that you stopped everything to watch it, because we kind of did the opposite with my pick.
Oh yeah?
Which was Shouwa Genroku Rakugo-Shinjuu,
No kidding.
or as they're trying to call it now, descending stories. Stop trying to make descending stories a thing.
Sending stories.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
yeah, it's. I just want someone to make a new title for it with that 70s show font that says That Rakugo Show. Because this is. I'm hesitant to call this my pick of 2016 because it's a show that kind of didn't end completely, because this show does a weird time thing where the main character comes out of prison, decides he wants to be a Rakugo artist, goes and finds a master, and then the master tells you his story about his past and how he became a Rakugo.
It's the master that inspired him to get into Rakugo in prison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's this season. What you're seeing right now is the coming season from this year, the winter 2017. But 2016 was sort of somewhat self-contained episode, and it's just beautiful in terms of the story. Again, the music, the setting of pre-war, well, not even pre-war Japan, just coming into the Meiji era.
Well, they go to war in
coming out of the
Manchuria.
Meiji era. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that they have scenes with a guy sitting on the pillow telling the story, and for very long lengths of time, but
And
they
it's
make
so
it
engaging.
They make it interesting and engaging, and they don't they don't do that thing where they're like, oh, he's telling a story, let's cut to an animated version of
the
that story going on while he's talking about it.
It's about the Japanese art form of Rakugo, which is a storytelling medium where it's a person sitting on a pillow using nothing but his upper body and a few very small props in terms of his cloak and a fan.
Voices.
And voices to characterize stories, embodying the different characters.
And like everything else in Japan, it's highly codified.
It's highly codified, and it's impenetrable to outsiders.
Yeah.
And this show makes that art form accessible. I want to go to Japan and find a Rakugo performance to actually go see. And on top of that, you've got characters who grow throughout the course of the series from the beginning to end. A self-contained story about all of these characters who have their own
You
art.
have 2 generations of characters that grow. And
You get to see the
change.
politics of coming up in that kind of environment as well, of what it's like to get better at doing this kind of
You
thing.
get fantastic animation, and you get actually careful cinematography. And the reason I'm hesitant and was waffling with this on Erased is that it's getting a second season. It's also my pick for what I'm looking forward to most in winter 2017. And I really hope that it stays as good as it was, because I don't want it to be one of those shows where I say, yeah, the first season was great. The second season left
kind
me
of did a thing,
cooled
and I didn't
down.
like the ending, or or I got disappointed at this point, and now I'm upset a little bit because I spent a lot of time and I loved it.
So yeah, this is a show, because of the impenetrable title. Jeff Thu does a much better job talking about this than I do on his channel, which you can find in Mother's Basement. But I want to say to anyone who's watching this, if you haven't seen Shouwa Genroku Rakugo-Shinjuu, take the time to give it a try, because it is fantastic, and I think it got overshadowed by a lot of the things that were popular in 2016, and a lot of stuff which was also really good in 2016. 2016 was
There was some really,
really
good
good
stuff
year.
in
It was
2016.
it was one of the best years for anime, and God, this show almost saved anime for me. This and Erased. So that's my pick of 2016.
All
Good
right.
pick.
Lori and
Good
Heather.
So I know we didn't choose like Yuri on Ice, which is still a real good
Lovely
show,
and fun.
but
Yeah.
but this show for me was better than Yuri on
Okay.
Ice.
I want to try to explain why it's my pick.
Do we want to name the title?
Okay, yeah, it's Fune wo Amu, The Great Passage. It's the one from last season about making
The
the
dictionary anime.
Yeah, the dictionary anime. And it's about a group of people that are passionate about a project to the point where they will spend their entire lives working on it, knowing that they may never live to see it to completion. And it's just quiet and subtle human interactions, and it's just the feeling of working together and optimism for the future, because they're trying to make it so that people in the future generations can express themselves.
Now, I mean, this is a world, this is just Japan. This is manga
Yep.
Japan.
This is just Japan.
Dictionaries exist.
Yep.
Yes.
But this dictionary is important because of...
They explain it in the show that
Yeah.
dictionaries in Japan aren't like a public work.
Yeah.
They're not seen as a cultural
it's done by a
artifact.
publishing
They're done
company.
by publishing companies, and they're like individually produced. Like there's not
Yeah.
like a Merriam-Webster
Yeah.
company. There's like, here's a publishing company that publishes normal books and novels, and they have this dictionary department, which is like their garbage hole
Yeah.
that they
Yeah,
hate.
like
I don't think it's important in that the dictionary is important. It's that the dictionary is important to these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this show really spoke to me for a lot of the reasons that Corey's already said, like human interactions, the fact that these people are super dedicated into this thing, and not only that, people who there's like one character who's in the department, and he's been there for 5 years, and you can tell he doesn't really feel like this is the
belongs
place
there.
he should
Yeah.
be, but then he gets to do a thing, and he's just like, I found my place. This is great. And he's very energized and he's
Yeah.
very committed, but he's coming at the project from a different way, but also helping with it. And then you have just like this group of people who are like, we will make the best dictionary that will help people travel the ocean of words to the other side. We are making a boat so that people can communicate and understand one another. And ultimately, we just want to understand other people. And just, I watched the ending like yesterday, and I cried at the end.
No, I
because
watched
was
the
just
ending
like,
last night,
no,
and I'm like thinking about it now, and I'm just like, oh, this is
so good, and everything they've made this,
And they made the boat.
and
They made the boat.
You mentioned the fact that it's like, they might never see the thing to completion. At one point, they point out a dictionary is never complete because words
Yeah.
are alive and they change, and so you have to do revisions. So we're working on a thing we will never actually finish because it will never ultimately be done.
Also, there's little mascot characters that teach you about different types of dictionaries, because
so cute.
Yeah.
apparently in Japan they have different types of dictionaries.
Well,
because
the
they've got,
dictionaries
like,
have different personalities.
dictionaries have different personalities, but they're for like different purposes. One's like old archaic stuff, and then there's like learning dictionary for
Textual
kids
dictionaries.
and stuff like that. 'Cause it's,
Dictionaries
like,
based on
it
comics.
makes sense because of the different written languages that Japan uses.
And there's office politics that happen. Not
Yeah.
a lot, but there's a little bit, to the point where you're like, every time, like when I was saying we watched Shirobako, when something, and they were like shit and trying to get, and they were like shit and trying to get things, and papers
Yeah.
were flying. The same thing will happen here, where it's like, this thing has gone wrong, and you see people going, but it's very.
And then they're just like, we're going to work very hard.
Yeah, and then
get
there's like
organized
a
about
span
this.
of months, and you're just like, are they doing it? Are they going to make it over the span of months and make this thing work out? I
It's
don't know.
It's people doing small amounts of paperwork, like very focused in front of them, like filling out a to-do list, and it's just it's
Will they
beautiful.
make it? Will they make it in time? And it doesn't. It's not even like there's music there pumping you to be like, feel
No,
this
it's
way.
just- it's
you're
tense.
just like, no, I don't know if this will work out.
So
What if
it's,
their dreams come crashing down?
it's a very human show.
Yeah,
Oh, it's great. It's the best thing ever.
But look at that animation,
The
too.
animation is
the
really
animation is
This
great. The backgrounds are so
spectacular
densely detailed.
renderings.
Like, they do this, the interior of the office. There's exteriors.
They do
with,
scenes
like,
where there's like one scene where there's like a brief moment where the editor in I think the first episode, when he's trying to find a new person to come in for
Yeah.
him, he's walking down the stairs and he's got his phone out. He's stopped there,
There's
and a
shot
girl
coming here.
like walks past him.
Right there. Look at that. Look at that sign.
This girl walks past him on the stairs, and she could just leave. They could just animate her leaving, but she stops on the other stairs, pauses, and looks at him. And
Yeah.
there's no interaction between the two of them, and then she just keeps going.
Yeah.
They did not have to animate that. It didn't add anything.
Nope.
But it did, because there's a moment where you're like, oh yeah, run.
This is another one of those shows that, because it's not on Crunchyroll, I think it's on Hulu.
No, it's going to come to Amazon from what I
Yeah,
read,
that's
but
what it
it
is.
has not come out on Amazon yet.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it has the exposure that Yuri on Ice has had.
Yeah, find a way to watch this, because this is one of those shows that needs to be remembered, because it is good and it is going to be timeless.
Well,
And
it's just like, I think it's basically what 2016 needs, because it's
I feel
it's
like
so optimistic.
I think
you should understand some of the things going on in it.
Yeah,
like
I-
you just
the three of our picks from this season, I think, really just there is no best anime, but those are the best animes of 2016. And
Well, like I said, like the anime you enjoyed the most, it was my criteria, and this one, just
yeah.
like I really liked Erased, and I was like, oh, and I liked Orange, and I was like, but no, this one is the one that made me cry at the end, and the one that made me constantly go, will they do it?
Yeah.
I went a little bit farther with my own criteria because I can't
That's fine, but that was my criteria.
Yeah, and it's good picks all around, everyone.
Congratulations, we made it.
So thank you so much, everyone, for coming with us on this ride across the border between 2016 into 2017. We'll catch you up again in another quarter about what we liked from this past season and what we're looking forward to in the next one. God, I'm looking forward to that live-action JoJo movie, but that doesn't belong here because this is a show about anime. Thank you so much, everyone, as I said again, for watching, and thank you for those of you who do help us out, and thank you to those who will help us out at our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. It's what keeps the lights on, it's what keeps the TVs on, it keeps our bellies fed, and it keeps us able to pass these photons and turn them into electrons through fancy computers and put them through a wire and then onto media and then into the internet.
Thanks for supporting us.
Do we have any other sponsors we have to mention?
Not for this show.
No kind of hybrid mattress or anything?
Yeah, no.
Okay,
No.
that's good.
Let's not tease things that we don't get money for, Beej. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we will see you in a quarter.
Bye.
Bye-bye.